Hello guys, I'm back to another video. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the iPad Pro 2016 9.7 inch. So let's begin. Okay, so the iPad Pro 2016. This is the second generation of the iPad Pro when Apple released it back in 2015 as the 12.9 inch model, and in 2016 they released this, the 9.7 inch iPad Pro. And I guess the reason why Apple did this is because not a lot of people liked the 12.9 inch. They wanted something smaller, so Apple gave them that option. This is it, and today I'm going to be telling you that in this video whether you should buy this. Okay, so let's talk about first of all the design. The design of this iPad is like any other iPad from that generation. Simple front and simple back. Except for the iPad Pro, you have a camera bump, so the camera actually protrudes from the body. You have a smart connector on the side as well. You had other color options. So if I'm right, the iPad Air from that generation only had space gray and silver. With the iPad Pro 2016, you could have get rose gold, silver, space gray, and gold, which is this one. That's pretty much it, really. It kind of looked like any other iPad, which could be a good thing. I think this iPad looks pretty good, you know. An iPad always looked good, so yeah. Now let's talk about the specs of this iPad. So it has an A9X processor with 64-bit architecture. This, today, I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, this is an okay processor. If you're gonna be doing mild gaming, not much intensive tasks, this processor will last you. We've had this iPad for about, since pretty much it came out, really, and one of my family relatives is using it, and he usually plays games on this iPad. He has no issues. Yeah, there might be sometimes a bit of lag, but it's not too bad. But if you're going to be doing simple tasks, such as, you know, watching content, reading news, this processor will be just fine. And if you want to do gaming, but you're still on a budget and you don't want to pay too much money for iPad, you can maybe consider the iPad Pro 2017. That thing has an A10X processor, 120 Hz of refresh rate, so, and a 10.5 inch or 12.9 inch display, depends on which size you go for. This might be your your mobile gaming machine on the budget, so you might want to look to that side. But this iPad, it might be for the people who just do a little bit of gaming or play simple games like Angry Birds or something, or Minecraft, and mostly just consume content on YouTube. Let's talk about the storage. So you can get this iPad with 32 gigabytes, 128 gigabytes, and 256 gigabytes of storage. And that's the same with the cellular models as well. And this iPad also has Touch ID, which is nice because you can unlock the iPad using the fingerprint. Your fingerprint makes it a bit easier, you know, you don't have to type in the passcode. This iPad also special feature with the iPad Pros. It has a smart connector, so you can hook up a smart keyboard and use that to use it as like a small portable computer to type stuff if you want to. And obviously it was supported, this iPad is supported with the first generation Apple Pencil. Let's talk about the cameras of this iPad. So at the back it has a 12 megapixel camera which is capable of recording 4K 30 fps, 1080p 30 or 60 fps, or 720p 30 fps. At the front you have a FaceTime camera, a 7 megapixel FaceTime camera. You're not going to be using cameras on the iPad anyway, so whatever camera it has, it's not really a big deal. Yeah, sometimes you just want to take the iPad and take a picture of something quickly. Yeah, the 12 megapixel camera will do the job. And the 7 megapixel FaceTime camera obviously is not the best, but you know, I think most people are going to be using their phones to FaceTime instead of their iPad. Let's talk about now the display. This iPad has a 9.7 inch Retina display with a resolution of 2048 by 1536, which is 264 pixels per inch. It has P3 color gamut. This is a nice display to consume content. This iPad Pro has 60 Hz of refresh rate, which, yeah, most modern iPads have 120 Hz of refresh rate now, but I think 60 Hz, again, is enough for most people. You're not going to be able really to notice the difference between 120 Hz and 60. especially if you're not doing anything, if you're just consuming content, watching movies, reading something, this display will do. In terms of brightness, I think this display has 500 nits of brightness. I am not sure, I couldn't find the specs, but I just would say this display is bright enough. Not sure if it's going to be bright enough for outdoor use, but for indoor use, this is a pretty good enough display. Now let's talk about the speakers, because that's one of the key upgrades of the iPad Pro, because it has quad speakers. This is the first 9.7-inch iPad to have quad speakers, and probably the last. Apple's never gonna make a 9.7-inch iPad probably again, so yeah. But still, having quad speakers is nice because you get stereo effects, and these speakers are pretty good. Let's launch something. Yeah, you get the idea. I would say these are pretty good speakers and that. So when watching movies, not only they're loud, but also the bonus of quad speakers is you get stereo effect, which means, yeah, I think you're gonna be having a good experience watching movies on this iPad. And also, obviously with iPads, a cellular model is also available if you're gonna be able to find one, so you can plug in a SIM and use mobile data on the go, which is nice. But yeah, now I'm going to be answering the important question. Should you buy this iPad? And I think no. And the reason is this iPad is already 5 years old. And even though the the hardware it packs in is not like that outdated, when we talk about the OS perspective, this is already an old iPad. I think iPadOS 15 is the last OS this iPad will be able to support. But if you don't really care, then yeah, you might pick this one up. If you're doing simple stuff like reading news, consuming content, watching movies, and mild gaming, this is a good iPad for you. Especially if you're gonna be able to find one for a good deal. Otherwise, I would recommend maybe to look at, if you have a bit more money, iPad Pro 2017, because that is a bit more modern, 10x Fusion processor. 120 Hz of refresh rate, a bigger screen, and it looks more modern. Yeah, that's the app I'll go for. Or maybe go for the iPad 2020 model with the 812 Bionic, a pretty decent display, but at least it's modern. So that thing will be able to, live and for a long time in terms of OS perspective. So yeah, that's the reason why I think only if you're doing simple tasks and only if you don't care about the US, you can pick this one up, especially if you want one for a good deal. Otherwise, I would say avoid this iPad and look for something else. That's been it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.